A quick thank you to the T5 peeps, Bob the Dragon, Datamagnet, Cat Crab Lobster, Dark Machine, Astraya the Dreamer, Mezec, Feudic Jarl, and Casper Arnholtz. Thank you very much. Story number 1. Lest the Generations Fail, written by Vincia Ortmaria. Zyquaquitlu Research Center, Biological Containment Facilities. Klaxon's bed as the signal lights washed over the walls in waves of crimson's light. Galatu rushed through the hallways, passing squads of security personnel as they jogged to the breach, weapons at the ready and faces grim. Seeing them pushed Galatu into a faster stride, until he was all but sprinting down the gleaming steel corridors. Galatu's hands were shaking with fear and effort as he reached the first blast door, separating the high-security zone from the rest of the facility. His three-fingered hand covered in a nervous sweat. It took the lock 2 attempts to read Galatu's signature. Galatu cursed the precious seconds that ticked away as he attempted to wipe his hand on the soft, downy fur of his chest. Passing over the threshold into a high-security zone, Galatu was struck, even in this instance of danger, by the contrast between the sterile, gleaming corridors of the facility and the soft furnishings of the pastel colors of this room. As an accomplished xenopsychologist, Galatu could identify most of the artifacts in the room, from the models of vehicles and life forms that were scattered on the floor, to piles of geometric forms in various colors that were stacked in fantastic and improbable construction in one corner of the room. These, Galatu knew, were toys, an ingenious method of recreational instruction devised by uncategorized species X32117. There were carefully framed artifacts on the wall, images of scenes from a species' home world. Galatu's eyes were drawn, as ever, to a much more interesting discovery: the framed documents containing little more than written words. The words were arranged without regard for grammar or any of the usual conventions of literary communication, but rather to sound pleasing when read aloud. One of the test subjects had called the invention poetry. "What's going on?" came a sleepy yet annoyed question from the corridor that led to the other rooms of this section of the facility. Galatu turned and saw his 2 specimens. Their species was a small one. A fully mature adult would rarely reach to Galatu's shoulder, and these 2, who were not more than 10 cycles in age, were not yet as tall as Galatu's waist. Bending his long joints backwards, Galatu lowered himself to the specimen's eye level. Galatu addressed the taller of the 2, a small male, who glared at Galatu in a manner at once both hostile and frightened, while his litter mate, a young female, hid her face against his shoulder, a soft toy clutched in her trembling hands. "There has been a breach in security. I need you and your—" Galatu racked his brain for the word "sister" to come with me to safety. Before Galatu could move to speak further, the door slid open behind him. Galatu turned in time to see a black-clad shape drop what appeared to be a severed forearm with 3-digit hand at the end. The figure, silhouetted against the flashing hull lights of the klaxons, moved faster than Galatu could think. It bounded into the room, swinging its plasma rifle like a club, bringing it down on Galatu with all the terrifying force of its dense, powerful muscles. Galatu was thrown across the room and slammed into the wall, the force knocking one of the framed documents from the wall. As Galatu's visions darkened, his eyes fell on a line from the poem. "She is wedded to convictions, in default of grosser ties. Her contentions are her children, heaven help him who denies. He will meet no sour decision, but the instant, white-hot wild, wakened female of the species, warring for a spouse and child." The last thing Galatu heard before the blackness overtook him was the young female's joyous cry, "Mommy!" End of story. Story number 2. The Unwinnable War, written by Hurtado. I'm writing this follow-up to my original article, The Impossible Species, as a plea. I can't do much. Not really. Species after species have seen my report, and those of others, and somehow come to the conclusion that war is the only way. Because they're too alien, too unnatural. They are contradictory, opposite to all known laws of life and reality being. So, apparently they are now our foe, and for their fearful otherness, their humanism, they must die. I am writing to tell you now that this won't work, and it's not going to work for a number of reasons. Even ignoring that there are species evolved to survive, hunt, and subdue from a Type 2 Class 12 death world that is literally called Nightmare in several major species languages, or that they're so competitive in warfare sciences that they're off pan-galactic charts. Hell, ignore the fact that they're a hunting predator species, with a grasp over conflict risk and reward most species could only dream of, or that they're, even for their hellish world, designed to win by outlasting the foe or simply not going down. Ignoring all of that crack, even if it doesn't exist, we're still not beating them in a war. Because we can't find them. Humans are a space-dwelling species. People forget this crucial detail. Their megacities in space aren't tied to worlds or orbits. Their technology, down to the square millimeter, they aren't governed by needing to stick around a sun or follow standard system conventions. They drift into the lightless voids between, processing materials deemed by their own councils to go unmissed, or simply forging them themselves through technologies that we cannot even begin to grasp ourselves. The few worlds they have are less sites of critical strategic nature and more cultural sites, places of recreation or novelty attraction, and we don't know where those are. As of current, as soon as we declare war on them, every single human settlement's going to move somewhere deep and dark and impossible to find. The only place we know exactly of its whereabouts is going to be their homeworld, which heightened oxygenation has bumped up to a Class 16 due to the re-emerging megafauna, hazardous ruins, and unpredictable weather formations capable of generating -50 temperatures and blasts of energy to eclipse those of stars. The only thing declaring war would do is make them mad at us. Their society focuses around duty, around righteousness to what is good. It is one of the few comprehensible things about them. They're a tough folk to live those kinds of lives. Good, but they know how to take a hit at the personal and species level. But say that somehow we find one of their world cities, what then? We storm this alien realm in pitch darkness, or near pitch darkness, encompassed in EVA suits where no warrior can move in, try and kill them with our inferior armaments, just wait for them to kill us in unexpected ways. It'd be a joke to them. They'd laugh at us, laugh as they took us and tore apart with their unhindered speed, strength, and arms. All finding a human city would do is present us with an opportunity to walk onto a territory we're vastly unfamiliar with and under-equipped to deal with, and surrounding ourselves with 1,000, at least, of species considered by some to amount to genuine cosmic horrors, who make their place their home. No sane commander in a normal war would take a fight a tenth that bad. The worst part is it's entirely pointless anyways. Humans, for all their incomprehensible, terrifying natures, are friendly. They're evolved to be social. The nightmare void species pack bonds across species barriers, as silly and contradictory as it sounds. They actively don't draw resources from sites they think may impact a system for reasons of environmental resource protection or avoiding accidental theft. All their confusing, contrasting, and unfathomable rules and rituals and bindings that they live by and kill by, they'll forgive a person from another species for failing to recognize them. A human ignores a rule, and others beat him down. But they know to extend the benefits of the doubt to other races. Tell a human that they scare you, and they apologize and get very awkward about it. They genuinely immediately go to apologizing for unsettling you with their existence. If that's not a model of courtesy and humility, I don't know what is. Killing them would frankly be a crime against decency. If I honestly thought that we'd be able to kill any past a single surprise attack. I say again, please think before trying to annihilate the humans. End of story. And that, my friends, concludes this video. I hope that you enjoyed, and if you do, please consider supporting the author, even by popping over and leaving a thumbs up or a nice comment, just to show your appreciation for the story. However, if you wish to support this channel, there are links down below which will help immensely. I will see you all in the next one, and until then, I hope that you have a fantastic day. Cheers.